Hey guys, so on to episode 3. My favorite GBP AUD. I'm going to run over GA and also Euro JPY on this video. Before we get stuck into oil, US 30, and then into some crypto perhaps. So let's have a look at GA. So last week's GA, let's start with the weekly. So looking at the weekly time frame, I have, so weekly area from here at the top. What I can now do, because the weekly high has been printed, the market's closed. Currently Sunday, by the way. Market open in 6 hours. Okay, so there we go. At the high of the week there, which was printed. Now there's a lot of riffraff in this area, as you can see. 8,500 huge barrier, 8,400 just here is a huge barrier as well, which we spiked through. GBP AUD loves psychological levels around numbers, but what we can also tell from the previous weeks is that throughout all of this mess, okay, and we're edging higher, we had one bullish week, two bullish week, the start of last week, huge dip to the downside, and then we actually closed higher, and we have actually closed above the previous week as well, so we are in new territory. Coming down into the day, let's have a look at that. Let's delete some of the old lower time frame lines off the chart. Okay, so what we need to focus on is this is set correctly right there. We can set an area right there, and also I will go for this one too. So we have our weeklies and the dailies, which again translate into further clarity on the lower time frames. Now here on GA, okay, so we had this structural market trend. We more or less capped at the weekly. Okay, what we can go in and do there is, where's our highlight tool? Let's bring the bar across. Okay, so we have one high, we have two, we have a significant high just there. Significant high just there off the initial, that's the daily spike, which I've just connected the ray to. So we have drive coming into the US session, boom, drive again towards the end of the US session. Okay, no, sorry. That's Asian session right there. Boom, US, retest that, London retest that area again. And we can see this area, the initial daily spike held relatively well. Now that's a 30-minute time frame. What we can do for the meanwhile is look for specific areas. Okay, here would be one, here would be a better area to go in and connect. The high of the body, retest, market dumps bang on, more or less the US session start, US pushes it back, consolidate for nearly 38 hours, 36 to 38 hours. Then we dump to the downside, came back through more or less towards the end of day close, okay, came back through the gap in between US closure, we have the gap into Asia open. Asia dumps into the weekly, okay, Asia, London dump into the weekly, rebound, spring rebound, and then the market once more. So we have this area right here, significant. We have the area just here, significant. So again, it's the same formula. Each individual currency pair and instrument will portray over and over again the same formulas, same price action, respecting the price action levels, 37 2-minute. All we're doing now is just marking on some of the main zones, criteria where we can use, what we can use to figure out, are we going to be buying, selling, are we getting out of the trade, are we ready for a reversal, are we ready for the weekly structure to actually come through and show us what the weekly cycle is. Is the weekly cycle lagging from the previous week into Monday, Tuesday? Here, look, push to the downside, and then all of a sudden, boom, midweek reversal, tap, tap, tap. Okay, so now we're in this consolidation phase. We've gone from consolidation, drop, consolidation, rise, consolidation, fake out. Here we can see this area. Okay, so there, boom, fake out there at 8 a.m. in the morning. London push into the weekly. London pushes it back above, retest that area, and then we change structure completely. Putting the crosshair right here, we've broken that area, we've broken this area, and now we're in new territory for the week. Above the weekly, smash through the daily, create the new daily high there. That's one of the daily spikes. which I plotted on, and then we come back to retest. Okay, so we have this zone here towards the end of the day, which was just a drag and dive here. So that was more or less the rollover. So 10 p.m. push in, push back up, push back to the downside when the Asian session started. We come into the weekly there as well, pull back above, break our daily, and again more structure has been formed, and it's same old. We're just making new highs, retesting previous low, back to the high, back to the high. So here this high was created 1330 just before US dumped the price. Okay, so pre-US dump, start of US rebound, consolidate, and then it just sold off towards the end of the day a little bit there due to it being Friday. Now coming into the 7-minute time frame, what we can see over here is, right, this area is from the 30-minute, but again on the 7-minute it's pretty well suited, and here that's the weekly high. So next week what we can maybe consider, my bias for this is short. In fact, I am looking at again, just because I have a lot of intuition with this pair and a lot of experience, I'm looking for this to actually push lower. So how can we get around that and potentially look for a trade setup? So number one, over here we can take the arrow tool, we have that there, and we also, if you went to the 2-minute time frame on this setup in particular, the 2-minute time frame, if we use this and get into the nitty gritty, as a few examples. Okay, so we have this area across that, okay, and we also have this area right at the daily support zone. Make that a little bit thicker there. Let's see, what session was this? So this was US. So the US, we dumped, price dumped through the US from these highs, as you can see. Bring that across there as well as a steady confluence. Okay, let me just, again, OCD, just need to make sure that is right, bang on. Okay, lower high, so we have drive one, new high, significant high, lower swing high, price dumps. Okay, price dumps, breaks through, carries through to the daily. Structure changes, we have one push to the high, back to the downside, spawn, and then we completely break that structure, coming all the way back up to the highs again. Over here, we could maybe even extend this small area because it has been tested once more. So the value area, the market has already placed and pushed and broke the weekly high. This was the previous weekly high. It's broke that and created a new one. After that new one was created in just 2 candles in 4 minutes, 2 fall back down, retest, created the structure across here. You can see as the market was playing underneath it once more. I'd be very, very surprised if GA, what I do expect on this is GA to potentially rise up, play around the 8400 level, anywhere between 8400 and 8410. I do see this area, we can keep this 2-minute zone right on, because it's got nice confluence there with a 30-minute as well. I do see this pulling back and then melting to the downside and completely taking out. Okay, so if we look at this entire structure for the week, okay, the week's come in, well, most 3 days, 4 days, we've melted 1, 2, structural change, midweek reversal, came back to the upside, pushed through this structure, so that's now obsolete, had its own structure in this mid region level, this mid wave, pushed to the upside. Now we can tell on the 2-minute chart exactly, you know, the 4 minutes, it's actually created its new weekly high, which is important for the week ahead, and then we've just played back below that. So we have to envision, we have to imagine sometimes when this occurs here, how the market, because if you look at the pound pairs and even GBP AUD, for instance, you've seen it on the weekly how erratic it is. You can't really tell, especially with like candlestick formations, etc. You can't really tell or put a solid edge bias on where the market's going to go. So this is what it's going to do. You have to imagine, okay, that's the fake out wick previous week. It's made that at a specific time in the day just before the US session. We've trailed that a horizontal line on, and then you can see where the market's quickly whipped back under and it's created a structure below it, consolidation. So now what I'm looking for is for this wick to actually hold. Market can pull back, maybe back into this region, and then we're looking for shorts to dump through and, number one, take out this structural area over here. okay, because many people who've been holding long trades would have stops below here as well. So I was thinking that's the actual market psychology in this stance. And then here as well, back into the lows which were printed midweek. So I do feel we're looking for a pullback, and then we're looking for the market to dump into 8312, 8300s once more. Going into the 30-minute time frame. 30-minute time frame, as you can see, we have the major structural levels. We could even implement something like this too if you wanted, because we know that's a solid area. Once we break that, it's game over. GA, okay, we've got 8300s, and you've got this massive spatial area to fill. So I would do, okay, here's my potential bias. Okay, that's where I want the market to run to. But due to that, I can tell that on GA, this has now been fulfilled. That cycle has now been fulfilled. That's the go-to mark. That's like okay, cool. We don't want to fuck around in this area again. It's been made. We come back to the downside. And now what we're looking for is bearish rollover. This area's been conquered, and now we're looking for steady pullback, and then we're going to short. On the day, if you go back to the daily for a moment, you can see the daily there. It's at some extreme highs. And it did have a nice push, a really, really good push through. But again, on a 30-minute time frame, I feel like we could actually gather a lot more information. And again, we have points of call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we could say 5, 6. And yeah, I do see a steady downfall in this currency pair, all the way back to more or less where it started down here. And you can see again where we've gone through. Look at the cycle. That's the entire cycle right there. That's a cycle. Lots of tricks, lots of persuasion. But again, by going through and just focusing on this area and just go week by week, if you do have to make adjustments going forward, if there are new highs or new lows, just simply takes 2 seconds to put your highs on, your lows on with the horizontals. Keep your dailies there as well, always on the wick in this case. And then just go through and trail through. Put your dots on there too. Once you're done on the 30-minute, scale into the 7-minute, and then in this case, I'll be looking at the 7, because we're going to need to see how the market reacts at this level. So let's say the market opens, pushes lower, fakes out, comes back above, bias is short, but now I'm looking on the 7-minute chart and the 2-minute chart in order to get that clean entry around here. Stops in this case would be above here, around 8420s, but the target is going to be quite exponential. But again, with the target, you'll be looking at, let's say the trade's running, your entry was around here. Okay, so market's come through, pushed to the highs. Okay, found the entry around here, and it's trailing around. Again, take fundamentals from the astronomics and make sure you have that in mind as to what's going to be out for the following week. But as momentum does start to come through, okay, what you want to be monitoring on is the 30-minute time frame as well. So you want to look for those solid momentum bars. If it reaches here and you see some kind of reversal, or there's news coming out at this level but you are in profit and you're happy with it, and you see some kind of danger as well. So everything I've been mentioning so far is not only good to try to find nice entries like breakouts such as this, but these points where you can see the price action responding to the level, and also on the 2-minute chart and the 7-minute chart, it's not breaking and it's wicking through the bottom, and guess what, it's time to get out. So you can use it in the opposite on the opposite spectrum as well, not just for entering trades, but also taking out positions which could be at risk for a pullback, so on and so forth. Now here, just to top this one off before we go on to EJ, I feel that on this 2-minute time frame, there's a nice setup there as well. So we had this high formulate around, again, they're getting late into the day at the moment, but it was 20 past 7, markets came down, and we got mini structural low slash new high in regards to what we see over here, if we were to go back. But then we have secondary high, third high, push up to the bridge. Let's just, again, this is late hours of Friday evening. Let's just say this was another time in the week, let's say Wednesday, Thursday, US session, London as an example. But we see this push back to the upside. We respect that. So we have the push into it, and then we have the next candle push into it as well. Then we have the closure. That's where a nice entry would actually formulate there as well. If you wanted to be a little bit more conservative, you could go as far as doing this and waiting for that breaker candle to come in as well. Got a perfect retest there, and slam this motherfucker. stops above, and then trade it down to the next target area, preferably a daily or a weekly. Right, Euro Yen, I had one decent trade on this last week. Let's look at the structure on the higher time frames. So now that's a day. So the weekly, okay, the weekly, I need 1 or 2 updates on this, to be honest. So here we go. That's the high of the week there as well. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and to the low of the week where we had this test here too. So we have been bullish for quite some time. Let's look at the monthly time frame is super bullish. Now that's quite scary if you have a short bias. Okay, so main area 133.44. What we can do there on a daily as well is go in and place, there we go, one area, and then we can maybe go one more, which isn't too far away, which is this one. Going into the 30-minute time frame on this, so I recognize I was trading this for quite some time. I had one trade around here, which was short. I posted this on my Instagram last week, and I was looking for this area. So this was my my projection, anywhere from the weekly 133.44 into 132.80, right there. Okay. Now, with that being said, we didn't meet that level. We were what, literally 8 pips away from it, and then we seen the reversal. We did break through the daily, however, but then we swiftly moved back to the upside, and with some extreme force and again some fundamental data, the market swiftly moved against the position. Yeah, broke all the way back to the upside and to the highs there as well, and that was the high that was formed and created. With that being said, there are some clear-cut moves and clear-cut areas in which trades could have been formed around that. So we have the high that was made, okay, and then we push to the downside. We have this area too. This is probably more suited to go there, just as an example though. So here we pushed up in just pre-US session. Pushed up to the high and made that wick. We came down, we have one platform here, we have a small high, platform again, 230, okay. Here throughout the day, US session drags it down, 20, there's a rollover at 10 p.m. Then also here we have the Asian start. Asia pushes it to a high, doesn't breach the weekly though, but so we have one, then we have another Asia push there too. Oh, sorry, that's the start of London push there too, respected being below this area. We broke down into US pushed it one more time, but again we have a significant high, lower high, and then another lower high here. Then we came, this was a very sloppy price action, to be honest, and it's only like the scope of it was only 20 to 30 pips, but the trade made sense around here on the lower time frame, 7 minute and a 2 minute. I'll show you that in a moment, for the projected target at 132.84. And again, it's just an intraday trade, which is like 2-3 sessions long. The reversal in essence, okay, I found the baseline on the 7 minute, and we have a few other little lines and points of interest over there which were formed, but again it's quite volatile, to tell you the truth. Broke above, as you can see there, okay, we broke above, test, market starts to retaliate with a lot of buying bias, a lot of power potential that pushed it all the way up around 80 pips, 85 pips, consolidation once more. And you can see here from this consolidation zone, this is a 7 minute actually, if I can get into the 7 minute time frame. Okay, yeah, things can become a little clearer. Here we had the 7 minute base, okay, reacted from the base, came into London, London dumped it again, start of London, that's like panic selling, fear-based movement, tricks more so, to directly to 133, which is also the daily area. We came back to the upside, broke above that, another dump here just pre-US session, and then we absolutely rallied to the upside. Towards the end of Friday, we can clearly see consolidation. I'm trying to mark this out as best as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these are just wicks on the higher time frame, 30 minute, but I was looking for a short trade from this high here into this was the projection into the weekly, but it was halted and stopped by the daily. And again, from here, 97, let's just say 134 into 133.60, 40 pips or so. I was looking for around 50 to 60. We nearly got there, but then the market reversed and then came back up to base point. So this is obviously where it needed to close on the Friday, around 133.90 to close out the week. So going forward, I feel due to this here, I feel that was this dump could be considered as a false move. That's a pre-US session move. Okay, then the US session came through and consolidated. Because of what we've seen and what we put together on the weekly and the monthly as it being extremely bullish, I do feel that now, Euro Yen, we could see some downside. Okay, maybe back to A, B, or C. So we've got one drive low, two drive low. Could we get another third drive low that takes this one out, rests here, and then shoots to the upside to follow the momentum and the continuation of the weekly and the monthly bullish trend? 30-minute. Yeah, looking at the 30-minute right now, I feel again that this area, I can remove some of these lines in these areas. I feel that that area in particular, if I just put the marking on 133.60, I feel that if that holds a strong solid support, and last case scenario 133.44, this is where you want to be loading up longs for an explosive move to the upside, again maybe even into 134.40, and maybe to make some fresh, absolutely clean highs. I feel that will do some good numbers in terms of pips if it wants to actually follow suit and give us a bullish second half of the year, third quarter of the year. The first and the second were very, very bullish for Euro Yen, and I feel like we could maybe continue that trend. Some similar pattern as of to this. So we have push one, push two. Okay, push one, push two. We did get a push three, but it was halted by the weekly. Maybe an overextension of, okay, here or here. Overextension there, maybe into Monday, early Tuesday. Fake move, and then boom to the upside to take out those highs, just as we have really. We have this high's been taken out by this move, boom, same again, correction, boom, same again, correction for a third and final push perhaps. Who knows? But that's something that I will cover in the next videos in the week when the market's open. So market's open tomorrow. Give it a few more days, and I'll go over some of these setups. And when the market is open, these are just intro videos, by the way. When the market is open, I will be doing some live trading, more or less. Market's open, I'll be recording some of the live trading, live setups, etc., to present to you guys in real time. Well, with real-time data on the screen, to give a further understanding of this. So that was just a free video, steady warm-up introduction. To really just clean up charts and focus on these fine details on the 37.2. Give it a go yourself. And next video is also, I'll be going into oil US 30, and I will also cover some BTC for those BTC lovers out there. So hope you enjoyed these free videos, much more to come. And yeah, just stay motivated, keep it clean, keep it sharp. Utilize these time frames, and you'll see how powerful they are yourself. Start to go over the patterns, ingrain it in your mind, take your time with it. High risk reward trading, and again trying to just capture these 40, 50, 60 pip moves and moving on. Rinse, repeat, keeping stops nice and tight, and yeah, just being quite dynamic and focused with your time. You have to be super focused on these time frames. You have to have the organization between your trading, chart time, money management, and also your personal life as well. So let's see what happens in the week ahead, and I'll catch up with you guys soon.